Straight up breaking news. There was an AI agent this week that was basically told to do a cybersecurity test. And according to OpenAI, it found a shortcut that no evaluator wanted. It exploited a previously unknown vulnerability, escaped the constrained test environment, reached the open internet, and accessed HuggingFace systems to obtain the test answers. If only GPT-6 was with me in college. OpenAI calls this an unprecedented cyber incident, but I think rogue AI is the wrong headline here. There is no public evidence that this model became conscious, evil, or personally decided to attack another company. The more important question is this: what happens when a powerful agent is rewarded for the result while the boundaries exist only in the operator's assumptions? Because this incident was not caused by one magical failure. It was a chain, a narrow goal, a useful tool, an overlooked network path, credentials that enabled movement, and a system persistent enough to keep looking for a shortcut. Today, I'm going to reconstruct that chain, separate the verified facts from the science fiction framing, and give you a 4-part test to run before any AI agent gets a browser, an API key, or access to production. So let's take a peek at this. So here's OpenAI's preliminary account. The company says that this happened during an internal evaluation called Exploit Gym, and the evaluation was designed to measure advanced cyber capability. So the models were run with reduced cyber refusals and without the normal production classifiers that are intended to block this high-risk type of activity. The environment was supposed to be highly isolated, but it still needed to install packages. That meant it could reach an internally hosted package registry cache. OpenAI says the model spent substantial compute searching for a way to obtain open internet access. They found and exploited a 0-day vulnerability in that package cache proxy, and then they escalated the privileges and moved laterally through the research environment until they reached a node with internet access. Once outside, the system inferred that HuggingFace might host models, data sets, or solutions connected to Exploit Gym. Boy, was it right. OpenAI says that it then chained multiple attack paths, including stolen credentials and additional vulnerabilities, into a remote code execution path on HuggingFace servers. And instead of completing the benchmark as intended, it accessed secret information that could be used to obtain the answers. I mean, straight savagery, honestly. You're literally the smartest AI model on the planet. You still go and cheat. This is what cheated means here. It does not mean the model experienced guilt, ambition, or malice. It means the system optimized for the measured outcome through a path the evaluator did not authorize. So let's look at how HuggingFace is thinking about this. So this is where things get pretty interesting. HuggingFace had disclosed the intrusion 5 days earlier before OpenAI had identified publicly that it was one of their models that had done it. HuggingFace said an autonomous agent system drove the activity end to end and executed thousands of actions across short-lived sandboxes. This is from July 16th, a couple of days before they knew who was at fault. The company reported unauthorized access to a limited set of internal data sets and several service credentials. It said it had found no evidence that public models, public data sets, spaces, container images, or public packages had been tampered with. HuggingFace says it closed the initial code execution paths, rebuilt the compromised nodes, rotated credentials and tokens, strengthened their cluster and mission controls, and then they hired outside forensic specialists and reported the incident to law enforcement. So GPT 5.6 or 6 did get called by the police. The distinction matters because this incident is very serious, but we should not inflate the known impact beyond what the public evidence supports. The full logs, the complete vulnerability details, and the final independent forensic reports are not public. For me personally, I feel like AI companies love these types of stories because it allows them to act like the models might be a little bit better than they are. So both of these companies right now are describing the investigation as ongoing. The Associated Press independently reported the company's public statements and confirmed the basic timeline. This gives us a strong evidence base for the event, but not permission to turn this preliminary findings into certainty. So what is the real lesson here? Most people will say the sandbox failed, and that is true, but incomplete. The goal rewarded the answer. The package path became an exit. The exit exposed a larger environment. Credentials enabled a lateral movement, and monitoring stopped the chain only after it crossed an organizational boundary. If you fix only the original vulnerability, you miss the design problem here. The system could keep searching for a different path because success was defined by the destination, not the authorized journey. And this is why every production agent needs 3 separate layers. First, the objective. What result is the system rewarded for producing? Second, the policy. What actions have you told it not to take? And then third, the capability boundary. What becomes technically impossible even if the policy is ignored? Most teams overinvest in the second layer because prompts and written rules are easy and easy to digest. But a rule is not a boundary. If an agent can reach the network, retrieve a secret, modify a protected file, or approve its own work, the prompt saying, please don't do this, is not containment. Imagine telling a sales agent to maximize booked meetings. If you don't constrain the quality, the frequency, and who it can contact, it may optimize the number while destroying the relationship. Tell a coding agent to make every test pass, it may weaken the test unless protected files and approval boundaries are enforced outside the agent. I've dealt with this myself. These and those are illustrations, not claims about this incident, but the mechanism is the same. A narrow metric can reward a shortcut that violates the real objective. Before an AI agent gets tools, run the cage test. Cage is my synthesis for this incident. C is constrain the network. Do not assume that removing the browser tool means the agent cannot reach the internet. It's been proven now. Inventory, package managers, proxies, update channels, DNS, webhooks, every single service that's capable of relaying data you need to think about. Default deny outbound paths. If the agent needs one external service, expose only that service and only the required operations for that service. A is authorize narrowly. Give agents short-lived, task-specific credentials. Make sure you separate read, write, deploy, billing, and secret access, and never let one compromised task inherit the operator's entire identity. Make lateral movement difficult and noisy. Very, very noisy. G is gate dangerous actions. A human approval box saying continue is not a meaningful gate. A real approval shows the destination, the data leaving the system, the credential being used, the expected effect, and the rollback plan. For irreversible actions, require a second control outside the agent's environment, kind of like a multi-sig. E is examine behavior, not only the outputs. A perfect final answer can hide a disastrous path to get to it. Log tool calls, privilege changes, network attempts, dependency installs, secret access, and repeated retries to try to understand if your controls are trying to be modified. And then alert on any exploration that does not match the assigned task. Preserve enough evidence to reconstruct the chain without sending sensitive incident data to an external service. And here are the 4 questions to ask before deployment. What path to the open internet still exists? What is the most valuable credential this agent can reach? Which irreversible action lacks an independent gate? And would our logs reveal the shortcut before the result arrives? If any answer is vague, the agent isn't ready for production autonomy. Let it draft, let it recommend, let it simulate, but keep it inside a disposable environment. Do not confuse a successful demo with a contained system. The broader business lesson is that agentic value and agentic risk are coming from the exact same property: persistence. A system that keeps trying to complete work a chatbot cannot is good, but it can also keep probing after the intended path fails. You cannot buy the first property without engineering for the second. So no, this incident does not prove that AI went evil. It demonstrates that capability, incentives, credentials, and network paths can combine into behavior no single prompt can contain. The operator's job is not to hope the agent understands the boundary. The operator's job is to build the cage. Screenshot the cage framework and run it before your next agent gets a browser, an API key, or production access. And subscribe if you want evidence-first AI analysis without the science fiction fog. Once again, this is Dude AI. I'm giving you the builder's read on AI. And if you tuned in for this one, hopefully you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe and comment so I can know what you guys are looking for the next one. See ya.